touched are rewriting the rules of reality. I want them under control. Even if it requires a bloodletting.
I will cut your face to a mess.
Rochelle, this one's for you. It seems like there's sort of this like instant kinship between Bonfire and Nimble Jack. Like, where do you think that sort of comes from?
I think the connection between Bonfire and Nimble is the fact that meeting two people who are incredibly independent and incredibly sort of able to look after themselves. And I think she sees that in them more or less within the first, I don't know, how many lines? 5 lines. So I'd say it's that kinship in, I'm good, are you good? That was a really bad way of explaining that. So
That's good. Vinnie, what exactly is Nimble's power? Is it like metal discs? Like, it's hard to sort of tell what that power is.
Yeah, they're not solid discs, but they can bear weight for as long as they're around before they sort of dissipate. So it's just like a kind of unknown, what's the word, like material that it's not really similar to anything that is in our world as is. And they can go kind of horizontally, or they can go vertically, and you can step on them, or they can block things like a shield, as we see with blocking a fireball.
So Rochelle and Vinnie, both of you guys had to convey your power without it actually being there. You know, like you don't see it in the room. How did you guys sort of visualize that and like figure out the aesthetics of it or the movements of it?
There was a team. There's obviously the special effects team that you sort of speak through technical sides, but for me the most important thing was figuring out like the consistency of the fire. Like I wanted it to feel quite weighted, and then that would feel quite more tangible to me. It has a center point, and it has a sort of a tacky consistency. So that for me, it was about just once I'd figured that out, then the rest was more technical things like, you know, little lights on my hands so I can put fire on my face that they can then add the flame to, or the actual fire when I throw it and someone is literally set alight. But once we figured out that, that made my job, and it feels so innate to do it now because I just know what my fire feels like, or Bonfire's fire feels like.
Yeah, I think you've got the commitment from each other as well. You both have to offer that commitment to the idea that you're absolutely seeing that happen. So you're seeing the fireball, you're seeing the disc, and I can tell you that Rochelle definitely commits to looking like she's throwing a fireball at you. Like, there is no doubt, you know, and that's the level of talent that you've got coming up against you. So.
Vinnie, but our first scene together was when Vinnie was doing the jumping up in the alleyway and throwing the disc, and Vinnie actually did that with a harness. It is amazing. So we're very lucky. There are things about our turns that we're actually able to do. So I think that helps. It's not as much green screen as I think people realize. If we can do it, we'll do it.
So Nick, the Beggar King is this sort of like much feared lord of the underground. How do you think he landed in that position? And like, you know, he was this guy that could control everything. And then here comes the Nevers, here comes the Touched, who sort of can take him over with a snap if they wanted. Sort of, how threatened is he by them?
I think Declan Orran is. I think he got to where he was. Let me take my glasses off. I think he got to where he was by being very clever and fucking ruthless in terms of what he will do. You know, he's what I call one of the 1% of men who would cause physical harm on another man and not give a shit about it, you know. And that's really terrifying, I think. But in terms of, I think he sees the Touch now as an opportunity. I think he's clever enough to know that they're fallible too. Yes, they've got powers, but they're also human, and that makes them afraid and weak and fearful and needy, and you know. So I think that's where he makes money. That's where he profits, you know. So I think he just sees this as another as another chance to make money, to take sides, to flip from side to side. I think he sees this as a chance to turn profit.
Yeah, he's a businessman. He's an opportunist.
Yeah.
Like whatever he's gonna.
Absolutely.
Well, to that end, like, what do you imagine he has like an end goal? Watching Peaky Blinders or something, it's like, well, these guys want to go become legit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, what do you think his just staying alive? Like, what's his goal?
Well, talking with Joss and then with Sarah afterwards, I think what really makes me kind of happy is the fact that he has a lot of children, and he has a wife that he's been married to for 30 years, and he has a family, but he has a family element that we haven't seen yet, that I just kind of love the fact that he goes home and he's not in charge. He's a devoted father, so I imagine that he would at some point want to make enough money to get some kind of freehold land down in Cornwall or Pembrokeshire and just bring his kids up far away from filthy London.
Well, I mean, the same sort of question applies to Bonfire. Like, what does she's sort of helping out Malady, then all of a sudden she's in with Amelia and Penance. Like, what does she want? Like, is it just stability? Is it?
Yeah, no, I think it's more agency than stability. I don't think she cares too much. Like, when we meet her, there is nothing about Bonfire's world within the touch and being touched that is a problem for her. She got a formidable turn. Like, she's probably the safest and most secure she's ever been in her life as a criminal. And I think it has been that push between like head and heart when she does join the orphanage and she's like, okay, I'm going to have to be a team player for a little while we figure this out. But ultimately, I think for her is there is an element of I guess safety, but to continue on her own, because I think she was okay in that way, which I think is hilarious. From speaking to Philippa, I don't want to give too much away, but it's like just torturing your character, isn't it? Like, all the things she doesn't want, she's probably going to get.
In another universe or another time, like, we might have called the touched superheroes. Like, they've been given these powers by sort of like a magical ability or being, or who knows what right now. Do you think that the touched are superheroes? I don't know who wants to take this first.
I'm not sure they're heroes. I mean, some of them are, but some of them, but I'd say they're extraordinary people.
I think the only superhero-esque thing about them could be that people could watch and see a version of themselves that they really relate to, or that they find themselves and are like, oh wow, like there's a version of me, but they also could do this. So I think there's that kind of element to it. Maybe that's like a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
Maybe there's something heroic about finding a voice. To not hiding your differences from people anymore, and being brave enough to stand up and say, well, this is what I am, this is who I am, and maybe that's kind of heroic.
The future of the world depends on what I'm doing.
The future of the world depends on the present.
Attached. A part of something much bigger.